everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sasquatch Secrets. I'm your host, Nikki Colon. I am so happy you guys could be here. This is the podcast that delves deep into the mysteries of the world of Bigfoot. So today I have a thrilling episode lined up for you. Joining me are Scot and Hanna Violette, the dynamic duo behind Squatch America. This adventurous couple has been traveling across the United States seeking out the elusive creature known as Bigfoot. Together, they blend their passion in cryptozoology with strong partnership, making their journey as fascinating as it is inspiring. I'm excited to uncover the secrets of their adventures, their relationship, and their insights into the legend of Sasquatch. My Sasquatchians. So why don't we go ahead and we bring them on.
Hey,
Hello, welcome to the House of Secrets. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great, but it'll get better.
Yep, pretty good. Pretty good.
Good. I'm so glad you guys are here. Let's take a look and see who we've got in the chat. Oh my gosh, I don't think I can go all the way back, you guys. The chat is just, it's going. I'll have to start from the bottom up because it won't even let me go up there. It's jumping around. Why is that happening? Sandra, good to see you. Hope you're feeling good. Mark, good to see you. Gary Johnson, Jen, Sharon. We've got Henry May. How are you? Daniel Weeks, good to see you. And we've got, who else we got in here? I did say Robert Denduven, good to see you. Grasshopper was way up at the top there. And Bat Mom, good to see you as well. I'm happy you guys are here. People are starting to sift in now. And got a good show. We're gonna get to know these folks a little more. I'm gonna ask them questions that I don't think anybody's asked them before. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna move us around a little bit so that I can fit this in here. There we go. So what a journey, what a story, that the two of you are out there looking for Bigfoot together. And that's what I was really interested in, is how that happened. How did Squatch America come about for you two?
Well, what's really interesting is, it's kind of weird. Squatch America happened because of COVID. It's kind of weird. We were both school teachers in Eastern Oregon.
And he had this cute little hobby.
Yeah, I had this cute little Bigfooting hobby. And where we lived in Eastern Oregon was Baker City, which is in the Blue Mountains, which is, the Freeman Film area, that whole there. I mean, there's a long history of Bigfoot in that area. And I had learned a lot about Bigfoot from my prior career as an anthropologist. I worked with tribes all over the nation. So I had always, heard all the legends and all the stuff from the Native Americans. So
yeah,
and I had pretty much came to the conclusion that I was like 99% sure these things were real just from Native American lore. But then looking at the footprints and all that, the footprint casts and stuff, I had got to go to a conference and see Dr. Meldrum's collection. And so that was kind of interesting. I got to talk with him for a little bit. And so I got into doing a little research myself. And what was funny is I decided to start a Facebook page, and as a hobby,
a little Wix site.
In a little Wix, website,
Free Wix website,
free Wix website, and I decided I was going to see if I could get some Bigfoot stories in my area, because in Eastern Oregon, the Blue Mountains, so I started this Facebook page, and it was kind of funny. The local editor for the newspaper, who I didn't know was like way into Bigfoot. And so when he saw that I had started this page in our little town of Baker City, he asked if he could come do a story on me. And so they came and did a little story on. I started a group called Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research, and
Mhm.
we did a little story on it. And he put it on, and it ended up on the front page of the local newspaper. You know, there's like 10,000 people in our town, you know. And so this little tiny little town. Well, what happened was it got picked up by the AP Newswire, and it got ran in the LA Times and the New York Times. It got ran in that story, got ran in the Las Vegas Times, because people kept sending me, you know, pictures of the
Wow.
newspapers. And that was a total fluke accident. And next thing I know, my little website was crashed of all the reports we were getting from all over the country.
Yes.
And we had to start paying for it.
Yeah, we had to start paying for our website.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That
Yeah.
so did you have like members as a part of your Blue Mountain group, or was it just you at that point?
It was just me at that point. And
And I had absolutely no interest. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm off doing my thing. I was actually, at the time, I was in clinical social work. I didn't have time to have fun. I
Yeah.
mean, I was working, and and so, you know, he was just, you do
Yeah.
you do you, boo.
Yeah. And I was actually working at the high school and at a lumber mill at the time, or lumber yard. And so after that came out in the newspaper, people kept stopping by the lumber yard just to tell me Bigfoot stories. That's kind of weird. And but one of the guys that was a contractor in town, and he was a former deputy sheriff, came and told me his Bigfoot story. And he told me, if you want to go out in the woods, anytime you go out there, you know, I'll go with you. So we kind of became squatching partners at that point, until he read David Pallady's Missing 911, and then he didn't want to go in the woods anymore. It's like, it's Missing 411. I said 911. It's 411. But anyway, so he, but it was just basically him and I, and occasionally Hannah would go out when she had time. But yeah, it was just me. But what I started doing was, all the reports we were getting, I was putting pins and maps with dates and times and locations. So as I started mapping out like a migration pattern, if you want to call it that. You know, it's like a movement pattern. Like, okay, this is the part of the blues they're in October. This is the part of the blues they're in, you know, when it's just our local area. And so that eventually led to my sighting. And then that's when and then that's, we're going to talk about that later, but that's what led to Hannah getting a little more interested in it.
And then Hannah, you were like, I'm in. I'm all in.
Well, so when he had his sighting, he came home, and by this time I had switched from social work, and now I was teaching. And so again, I was a choir teacher, and so I was working 80 hours a week. So still, you do you, boo. You have a good time. I'm going to bed. You know, I'm not going out with you. And so I will never forget the day, or the early morning, when he come running into the house and said, "You will not believe what I have." I mean, he forced me to get out of bed at 1 a.m. I mean, this is like taking his life into his own hands there. And he makes me traipse down to the basement, half asleep, where his office was, and he showed me the here's the nothing picture, here's the face in the picture, and here's the nothing picture, you know, the bam, bam, bam. And it's like, that's really awesome. I went back to bed. But then the next day, you know, when I had I think my wits about me, I looked at it again. I said, oh, it's okay. So that kind of, it's not that I didn't believe it, just, and it's not that I didn't count it as an impossibility. It's just I'd never really given it any thought. You know, Bigfoot was not part of my paradigm, was not part of my vocabulary. But
Right.
this was like, that's not a bear. That's not a raccoon. That's not a whatever. I don't know what that is, but that's a something. And so that's when I was a little more invested in the idea of going out and doing investigations with him when I could. And then we started really talking about what would it look like when he hits retirement years, which is actually, he can take retirement in another 6 months. So
Yeah.
this is years ago. So you can see how things have gone way faster. But we started talking about doing this full time when he retired, and it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I was so angry at how that was being handled on a systemic basis. I said, let's just quit. Let's finish out the year and just do this. Well, let's just make this work. I had no idea what I was talking about. Had no idea what that was going to entail. But we had sold the house already. We were already living in the RV as kind of a practice run.
Yeah, well, actually, there's a story behind that too.
Okay.
Our house, we had a big, like, it was a old historic Victorian house in town, and
one of those albatross houses where
Yeah.
you wish you'd never bought it.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful anyway.
Yeah. So it had sit on the market for like 2 years before we bought it, and they kept dropping the price, and then we finally bought it. But so we had it for about 3 years, and then we decided, well, if I'm going to retire in another 5 years or so, let's see if we could dump this albatross, from around our neck.
And we figured it would take 2, 3, 4 years to sell because we knew the market in our area.
Yeah. And so we actually jacked the price up to some stupid amount because we didn't want to sell it right away anyway, Yeah, immediately. And it sold in 3 weeks for that stupid price.
Crap, what do we do now?
It's like, what do we do? So we decided to live in the RV a little earlier than we had expected. So we bought the RV and we parked it in the local
RV park.
And then we were still working, going to school and stuff.
Yeah, and we figured this gives us time to go through the storage unit, everything that we weren't able to unload. We'll have lots of time to, and then the COVID.
Yeah.
And by that time, it was like, screw it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
And she was teaching choir, which you can't do online, so.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's just like, you know what? Let's live our dreams before they take them away completely. Let's just do it. I mean, we weren't gonna play that game. So we decided to just make a go of it. And that's about the time we rebranded his hobby from Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research to Squatch America. And we just hit the road.
Yeah, we just hit the road. And what had happened is through some weird Facebook coincidence, we ran into a place in Maine that was looking for
some work campers.
Work in a campground all summer long.
Right.
So you can park your camper there for free, and you just basically work so many hours a week. And then, so we were up in the North Maine woods, and I thought, what a great place to be. So we drove all the way across the country from Oregon to Maine and worked that summer. And we had still had all our logos on our truck from Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research. And the reason I did that, and the reason we have our truck all logoed now too, is just to get reports, so people will feel safe walking up and talking to me.
Yeah.
And so we pulled into Maine with that all over our truck, and once again the local newspaper wanted to do a story, and it just we spent all summer doing Bigfoot stuff.
And that's where we started getting reports from. Basically every time we enter into a new town, we start getting reports. A paper will come out. We'll host a town hall meeting, and that's how Squatch America was born.
That's an amazing story, and that's taking you all over the U.S. What are some of the hot spots you've hit along that journey?
Oh, well, I would have to say The North Main Woods is one where we got up there. I mean, we couldn't go a day without somebody giving us a report, you know. And where we were is near Mount Katahdin, which is the highest point in Maine.
And in that area, the natives say don't go there because that's where, what I forgot. We just had the book out, what their name for Sasquatch is. But basically, in that area, Sasquatch is like the guardian of the mountain, and he does not want you on the mountain. Doesn't keep people from climbing it, but that's the story there.
Yeah.
We tried to climb it, kicked our both of our little arses.
Yeah.
In a bad way.
Yeah, that mountain, the top of that mountain is actually the end of the Appalachian Trail, the famous Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, and it is a bad boy, bad boy mountain. But I can see why they didn't want people going up there.
Yeah, but we had a lot of fun. I mean, we got to spend some time on the Passamaquoddy Indian Reservation. Did not find Pete's Dragon. It was supposed to be there. It wasn't. So
I was so disappointed.
Yeah,
I was disappointed.
So
you needed that photo bomb.
I did. It's true.
Yeah.
So, but other hot spots.
Other hot spots. North Main Woods. East Texas was another one. We got a lot of reports around. You know, the Jefferson, Nacogdoches, Whitney, even
Whitney.
So
wow. Yeah, you came all the way across. You've been here to New Mexico, the Cloudcroft area. We saw your videos that you put out there and visiting the, what do they call it up there?
The Bigfoot Encounter Museum.
Encounter Museum.
Yeah. That what you're going for? Yeah,
that's what it's called.
And then we got to spend some time on the reservation there too, with the Mescalero Apaches.
Developing a relationship with them.
Yeah. So I you know, having been a Native American cultural anthropologist, I know kind of the words to say to kind of get my foot in the door. You know, spending a lot of time with the natives. And so, but with a lot of the reservations and stuff, that takes time. You got to kind of put your foot in your door and then back off a little bit and then wait and then, you know, and then
grow that relationship.
Grow that relationship.
It's like a courtship.
Yeah.
You're courting each other.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of tribes out there that don't really take in outsiders. You know, it takes a while to get that trust going.
Yeah.
It does.
And I myself did some work on the Navajo and Hopi reservations as a post-secondary education and trying to get their smart kids to go to school, you know, to go to college. And it was hard. They didn't want their kids to go to college. You know, they were expected to go to work at the ranch, you know, right after high school. So it took a lot of talking to convince some of those kids to be able to go to school.
Yeah. And then and then just recently, I would say the squatchiest place we've ever been was just recently.
The Washington coast.
We were on the Washington coast in the Olympics. And that was on the
Quinault.
I couldn't remember.
We were right by the Quinault Reservation.
The Quinault Reservation.
And the Quinault, is that a nation or a tribe?
It's a tribe.
That Quinault tribe, in their tradition, Bigfoot just is. It's not like, does Bigfoot exist? It's just taken for granted, and he's just part of the natural order. And in fact, one of the members that we were talking to, he said it was only after he became an adult and kind of left that area and went out into the world that he ran into people who said, like, you really believe in Bigfoot? It's like, well, wait, don't you?
Yeah.
Never really thought about it, you know. Of course, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and we did an interview with one of the tribal members, and he wanted to tell us his Bigfoot story, and he did. And then we were talking to him for about 2 hours because after he told us his Bigfoot story, he said, well, oh yeah, my cousin, this is what happened to them. Oh yeah, my Uncle Joe, this is what happened to him. And then, and he just kept telling
All
stories.
the family. Yep.
Yes. And I see up on the screen the question. We do not know Barbara Shoup. I do know who she is.
And we're Facebook friends. We're actually going to be on a camp out with her in September. And so yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I used to watch Barb and Gabby. Well, when it was Barb and Gabby in the beginning, when she was out there.
Mm-hmm.
The Blue Mountains. I know she researches in the Blue Mountains. The Blue Mountains is a huge area. So it's quite possible.
A lot of people don't realize how big the Blue Mountains are. It goes through Idaho, a little part of Washington, and then
up into Montana,
and then clear down to the Sierras in California. So it's the only mountain range in the nation that connects the Rocky Mountains to the Sierra Nevada mountains and the Cascades. So it's like a natural corridor between the two.
It's like asking, hey, so-and-so lives in Oregon. Do you know them?
The Blue Mountains, which we're sitting in right now, but I'm just looking out the window right here. I can see one Mount Harris right there. But it's 26,000 square miles of forest that nobody lives in.
Wow. Yep, there's a lot of area out there for sure. What was going to ask you next? But of course, you guys are in such close quarters, and now you're in a motorhome, and you were telling me before the show about having to downsize a little bit on that. But that's got to still be an amazing adventure, and there's a lot of logistics and planning that goes with having to be mobile. You guys have to be able to get up and go, because you have like a 2 week on some places that you can only stay, or even shorter on some sites. I know they make you even come out of the national forests after
14 days. You're only allowed 14 days. Yeah.
So that's got to be quite a feat. Who does what?
So he's the itinerary planner.
Yeah, I do all the itinerary stuff.
And for the last 3 years, so 22, 23, 24, our travel schedule has really been dictated by where we're doing festivals, conferences, sportsman shows, and if we can get some squatching in between those. And the other thing that was a big factor was his mom's health. So do we need to be back there for her? So this last year we've been blessed not having to be there. But it's been really dictated by which conferences booked us next and how do we get there the most economically feasible way, which is another issue.
So when we first jumped into this, that was one of the things that wasn't on my itinerary, was Bigfoot festivals, because I hadn't really,
you'd had them booked.
When COVID hit, we were booked at 8 Bigfoot festivals that summer.
They were all like in Oregon and Washington.
Yeah,
they were all in the local area.
Yeah. And of course, none of them happened that year because everything canceled.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, I thought that was a fluke, because we were nobody, in the Bigfoot world, and
he still thinks we're nobody in the Bigfoot world.
I do, but we're
a strange anomaly. Is what we are.
But we ended up last year we were booked at 14. This year we're booked at 14 festivals, which they're great for our finances, to do these, but it's exhausting, and it's not so great when people want to go out in the woods with us. But so this year, something we have been doing is trying to plan to be there like a week before the festival and a week after the festival, because a lot of times, we'll meet people at the festival who want to go show us places where they've saw their Bigfoot and stuff.
Right.
So so we've been doing that this year. And then the week before we'll get into the area and kind of hit the, I use, the Bigfoot Mapping Project app a lot, and I can look in the area we're at where all the sightings have been, and we'll go check out some of those hot spots in the area beforehand. And then after we do the festival, we'll get some stories. We get the people that, we got to kind of sort through some of the stories that we get, and the deal. A lot of people, some people have really good stories, and some people are making stuff up, and you got to be a little careful with them. But occasionally we get the guy gets the goosebumps on his arms when he's in the quiver in his voice when he's telling us his story, and that's the guy we go out in the woods with.
Yeah, you got to be careful. We don't know people,
Yeah,
that's the serious part of being out there, right? Is other people, not Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So, well, I can definitely see how that would be a challenge, definitely, to make sure that you're hitting the right places, meeting the right people, growing, your channel. And I mean, then you started your channel up as well. So now you've got this whole content creation that has to happen.
Yeah.
And
he started his channel when it was just a cute little hobby. It was the Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research Channel, and it started going viral when he was Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research.
Yeah, that was another freak accident. I put up my first video and got 50,000 views on it, and I'm like,
holy cow.
Well, that was before they were really making it hard on creators too.
Yeah.
And then different things happened over the years, and we suffered through a shadow ban and blah 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 blah, all the things. So growing the channel, well, you already know growing a channel is not an easy task anymore.
Yeah.
It's not. So, not when you're a niche, this is a special topic, and you have to have your little hook,
Right.
And that was one thing I didn't want to do, was just be another encounter show, because there's a lot of good ones out there, and that was something I didn't want to compete with. So, of course I picked something that's either you love me or you hate me type of thing, but because I like to talk about those things people don't like to talk about. But everything, the research, the actual getting out there, all that stuff, that's totally amazing. And that you guys get to do it as a couple is even, one step above that, for sure.
Yeah, so that's one of the things we wanted to do a little different with our channel too, is we didn't want to be just telling Bigfoot stories that people send us or reading them off websites and stuff.
And I'll be really honest, when we started this, my intention was not to be part of this. I mean, I have my own business, and I was, I really wanted to, I'll take care of the income generation to free you up to do the things, so you can put all your creative energy. When did I actually get started with the research itself?
I think my sighting, because you went out.
No, it was after that. I mean, even after we started, it was when we went on with when the She Squatchers had us on, and I got in front of the camera for the first time.
Yeah.
And people started calling us the Ricky and Lucy of the Bigfoot world. And now Ricky without Lucy doesn't work so well. But even then, I wasn't really thinking, I'm a clinical social worker turned choir teacher turned health coach. What do I have to offer Bigfoot research? And it kind of took me some time to realize that I did have a lot of skill set that could be applied to cryptid research.
Yeah, being a clinical social worker, she knows how to do forensic interviewing. And
it's important to know how to talk to people, and to let people talk. A lot of people don't know how to let people talk, and you listen, not just hear them, but listen to what they're saying. It's It's kind of a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what we were trying to do with our channel is we do interviews with people. That's one of the things that I wanted to do. And then I
Mhm.
wanted to spend time out in the woods with people, and their stuff, and then going out in the woods ourselves. But I didn't want to just your average,
Ooh, what's that? Ooh, what's that?
yeah,
Ooh, what's that?
yeah, or put the camera on and walk through the woods for half an hour and then just throw that up. That's just walking
Yeah.
through the woods for half an hour, kind of stuff.
He
So
does enough of that, and he always puts me in the front, and all he gets are my butt shots. It's like, would you stop that? Nobody wants to see that. No one. I'm 54 years
Yeah,
old.
I have a whole bunch of videos of Brent's butt, so I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I am far from being a videographer. I have a lot to learn when it comes to learning how to film as I'm walking, because it's hard to carry, stuff in one hand and balance yourself on the other, and it takes a little bit of talent there.
Yeah. So
I didn't.
I have a couple little advantages when it comes to that. Having been me and being kind of ADHD, I've held like a million different jobs. I'm not good at staying places for very long. I never have been, but I've learned. I'm like, the jack of all trades, masters of none kind of thing. So I've had a lot of interesting things. I think the longest I ever been was when I was in the military. I did
Which is like 8 years.
8 years, and then I did. Probably the next thing is my Native American culture and anthropology stuff. That was a lot of fun. So I did that kind of full time for almost 6 years. Got to work with.
And then beyond that, it was like I think 4 years was the top for anything.
Yeah. But
I'm not much different. So
yeah. So
yeah, I feel him.
Way back. I mean, this is years ago.
This is before the Ricky and Lucy, the Scot and Hannah show ever started.
In the early 80s, after I graduated high school, my first college degree was in theater. I was kind of a, drama geek when I was in high school. And one of the first jobs I got after that was slinging a camera. So I was actually a cameraman for Grizzly Adams Productions. So
Wow.
I did learn a little bit about filming and cameras and lighting and all that.
Eventually, we opened a small production studio. Did commercials for the local public access channel and
Oh my goodness.
that sort of thing. It was little small potatoes, but
yeah,
we did that with VHS tape.
Yeah, that was back in the day when they were filming on VHS tapes and and those big cameras that weighed 30 pounds. Yeah. So that was a long time ago. That was back in the day, but some of the the shooting skills, equate to today. They still apply today.
Yeah, for sure. What through all this, what are some of the challenges that you guys face when you're out there?
Living together in 200 square feet all the freaking time, no space. To get alone time means I'm putting my earbuds in.
Yeah, that's alone time.
Yeah, it's like I'm putting my earbuds in. Leave me alone.
I do that in my own house.
Going to the bedroom. Don't follow me.
And something else we've worked out over the years too. It's kind of weird. Is since I do go out and do bigfooting stuff, and sometimes I go into the night. So I'm kind of the late night person. So so she goes to bed like at 8 o'clock, and she gets up like at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't go to bed until like midnight or so, and I don't get up until like 9. So her alone time is in the morning, and my alone time is at night.
Yeah.
If he comes out,
and I are both early morning people, so we would both be up in the morning. But our kids are not that way. They are night owls. Yeah. They will stay up all night long. And then
kind of funny. Yeah, this morning he came out before I was done with my yoga, And I looked at him and I went, shh. You are intruding on my space.
It's quiet time.
and it is a challenge because I am, and this is, I don't know, he's got to have something playing all the time. He needs that audio wallpaper. So, and being ADHD, he'll have something on his phone and something on one monitor and something on the other monitor. And, you know, like this monitor has something funny playing and this one has some angered political pundit. And then this is, and it's like, and I am like, I just want peace and quiet. Just shut up. You know, so
Yeah.
hence the earphones, the noise canceling earbuds, you know, because I can't. And so we really have had to learn. And I would be lying if I said if an F it off, you know, just the F bombs can fly here.
Yeah.
And you really, I think when you have a marriage like this, you've got to be really open about communication and not take each other personally, hardly at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to answer one of the questions here. Just Steve said in 1980, you would have been a non-combat vet. I was in the military from 84 to 92. So
actually 86
or 86 to
or
90,
something like
yeah,
that.
something like that. 86 to 92. I know I got out in 92. I did 2 tours in Iraq, Desert Storm and Desert Shield.
Yep. And we got the DD-214 to prove it.
Yeah.
He didn't graduate from high school until 1983. So there you go.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
anyway, and I wanted to answer Sharon. Yes, we have a beautiful, sparkly new refrigerator that I love.
Yeah. So you wanted some of the challenge. You asked that question. Is one of the challenges that we had over the last 5 years of living like this is we don't have a home base, and we don't have a place to land. So when stuff happens, we're kind of stuck. Like when our truck broke down in Lubbock, Texas. And so
you don't ever want to be stuck in Lubbock. And if any of you watch our YouTube channel, you would have seen his rant. And I think it was I mean, the energy that came from that rant was like, whoa.
So like when something happens, we are stuck where we're at, and we have to figure out how to fix it. You know, you know, where do we go next? Kind of stuff. So and there's been a lot of, you know, little challenges, like our refrigerator went out and stuff you don't think about. Like our refrigerator went out and we were on the coast of Oregon in Washington in
Ocean Shores. There's not an RV store there. There's certainly not a place to get an RV refrigerator.
Yeah.
And in fact, actually there was an RV store and they said it'll take us 6 weeks to get a refrigerator. And it's like, what? So can't live that long.
So we ended up driving
100 miles to a big city
to Tacoma to get a refrigerator, and then I had to replace it in the campground, you know. So I have to have all the tools I need, like what you would have in your shop at home, I have on my truck, you know. So I have to have all that stuff.
What was funny is when we left on this adventure, we were anticipating, okay, we're going to cross the country, we're going to come back in 6 months back to where we started and kind of see what happens. And then of course, because of all the pandemic stuff, we actually couldn't get back to the state because of all the travel restrictions and borders closing and stuff like that. And that's really, you know, and so we had left most of his tools in our storage unit, so we had to repurchase. So now we have 2 sets of everything.
But we don't have them with us.
Yeah,
that's one of the bad things. We do have a storage unit in Oregon that we've had for 5 years.
5 years. We haven't had time to do anything with it.
We've never been in it.
But every now and again, we come back through town and just throw more stuff in there.
Yeah.
John Ayers says, call DoorDash. Yes, I need a fridge.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we did get the refrigerator, and then so we have the old one sitting out here, so I've got to figure out how to get rid of it, so
Fortunately, that campground said, no problem, just clean up your mess and throw the fridge in the dumpster. And Donald Fuller says those fridges aren't cheap for campers. Our little, I think this is an 8 cube, it's just a little 12-volt refrigerator. It costs as much as it would to get like one of those great big French double door things for your kitchen at home. So yeah. And fortunately, we'd had a really successful show right before then, so we did have the money for it. But still, it was like, oh, money in, money out. Bye. It was nice to see you while you were there.
That's one of those balancing things, to realize that that's going to happen.
Yeah, and another thing that it's not just balancing marriage and Bigfoot hunting; it's balancing earning a living in because I have a day job, I have an independent business, neither of which have anything to do with Bigfooting, and so we have to balance. Okay, I know I'm going to need this much internet, and my schedule this week. I don't have time to go out with you. Knock yourself out, babe. Go do your thing. And then we balance that with he's got a health condition that sometimes keeps him bedridden for weeks at a time from all those jumps out of airplanes in the military. There are days he can't walk. So, you're balancing that. And so people say, why aren't you out in the woods more? It's like,
yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. My husband's 100% disabled. He doesn't look like it. Okay. People will think he's a perfectly healthy, strong man. And on most days he is, but on those days he's not. He's not, and so we know, he gets those funny looks. He's parking in the handicapped, spot, and probably didn't deserve to be there, but he totally does.
Well, people write stories in their heads all the time, and that's just part of what we do as a species. When we don't have information, we make it up and believe it. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So that's just part of being human. But
and thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, we spent 3 weeks on Mount Hood, and he left the trailer like maybe twice because he couldn't walk. And then that gets, that gets everyone.
Knees and back are just messed up from the packs and packing in and out, and yeah, for sure. Okay, where are we at? We are
balancing marriage and Bigfoot.
Balancing marriage and Bigfoot hunting. Actually, the Bigfoot hunting is the best part of our marriage. In fact, our marriage, F-bombs notwithstanding, I think those are a healthy release of tension and energy, right? I think that the last 5 years have been the best thing for our marriage that we could have ever done. People say, man, we would be divorced by now. And it's like, you know what? If we hadn't done this, we might be divorced by now. But it just, in this situation, it's like we're all we have. We only have each other. So we better make this work. And I will never turn the clock back. See, honey, I love you.
Sniff. It's amazing because my husband I can't get him to go out and do this. I couldn't pay him to do it. He doesn't like camping. He was in the military for 26 years. And he says, I'll never go camping again. So don't ask me. And I go, well, you're pretty straight on that. He did actually take me camping a couple years ago to the Mogollon Rim. But it's because I hurt myself and I couldn't do it on my own. But he just says not his thing. He's a tech guy. He likes being in his home with all his gizmos and gadgets. And I can appreciate that for him.
I was not a camping person. I was not an out in the woods person. In fact, I think that was the hardest thing before we started this is on those days where I did agree to go with you. It's like, can we be done yet? Can we be done yet? And
it's sort of weird because I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and I actually grew up here in the Blue Mountains in a little town called Somerville. There were 110 people in our town.
Wow.
and we lived 5 miles out of town, so I never saw those 110 people. But we literally had, our farm was 13 acres.
And it was right up against the national forest.
It was right up against the national forest. So I could walk out my back door and walk into the national forest. And growing up, camping, it was just something we did all the time. And my dad loved the outdoors, hunting, fishing, all that stuff. We did all that growing up. And when I was in high school, I would grab a sleeping bag and some jerky and some trail mix, and I would just, on Friday when I got home from school, I would just walk into the woods and say, tell my parents, see you Monday. So
Yeah.
Wow.
so I would do that. So I've been in the woods my whole life and love it. And she grew up on pavement
in Yakima,
Washington.
And I did the whole high school, college career, big city, wanted the civilization and all the cultural stuff and the music and the let's go out. And when we got engaged, he asked me, do you like to go camping and hiking? And my only paradigm for camping and hiking was church camp. Sure, cabins with hot running water, little trails, and you spend half an hour during free time walking a trail with your bestie. Yeah, okay. Had no idea. He set up our honeymoon to take us. We camped, like pup tent camping.
We
backpacked and hiked the Elkhorn Ridge Trail, which I have blacked out parts of that from my memory.
So this is almost like 9,000 feet. I mean, you're hiking these little trails.
These little freaking goat trails, and they fall off the cliff, and you have to jump.
Yeah.
I am seriously, I don't remember sometimes how I got, and at one point I twisted my ankle and he kind of almost had to carry me down the mountain.
My goodness.
But there was no hanky panky going on that honeymoon. Not a shred of romance.
Oh my goodness.
But what this did for me, what the last 5 years did for me is, and I would say I am really grateful for, as much as I could talk about how ridiculous and perhaps evil the whole thing was. I'm so grateful for the pandemic, because it opened up a whole new world to me. I discovered that this outgoing extroverted person was actually an introvert. I had just had, I was like an introvert playing an extrovert, and for the first time in my life, I just had layers and layers of anxiety and stress come off of me. And I did that by being in nature so much. And all of a sudden, I've gone from this pavement-bound person, putting the makeup and the clothes on every day, to walking around in shorts and bare feet through the woods and grounding and just... And it was really so healing to me. And now I can't imagine. It's like, how did I live without this? I really didn't. I was miserable. I was miserable for the first 50 years of my life. Totally.
Yeah. I think I have realizations of that every time I go out, because I don't get to go out that often, and I really wanted to go out more now this coming season. I've got my gear ready, everything's good to go. And the bug hit me last year after our trip to Mount St. Helens. I was like, yeah, this is what I need in my life. I want to do this more. And of course, my life here at the house has changed a lot. I'm got a lot of things that are going on, and I'm like, God, I just want to be out camping. I don't want to be here. But, you've got other things when you have a household and, the kids, one kid's still going to school, and there's other things that kind of hold you back that you have to take care of. So I understand all that completely. But if you were to give advice to other couples who maybe want to undertake this similar type of adventure, what advice would you give them?
Oh my gosh.
first thing, you don't need nearly as much crap as you have.
Yeah, exactly. That was the first thing I was going to say. Yeah, you don't need as much crap as we thought we needed.
In fact, we just downsized. We just got rid of a whole bunch today. But
Yeah.
you know, all those things, the 2 sets of china that I got from people that I dearly love. You know, the 4 closets of clothes, the artwork on the walls, the, you know, the grand piano sitting in the, you know, you don't need any of that or whatever. You don't need that to be happy. We are happier in 200 square feet and a tiny little kitchenette, and happiness is something that you create. It's not something that comes from without you. It comes from within you. And the less you have to carry around, the more you're going to be able to access that. I know it's a little bit of a philosophical thing, but I think that's the biggest thing. And so start downsizing now. Don't just throw your house on the market and assume you're going to have 5 years to deal with it.
Yeah. So, and another
I
thing,
can't even deal with my garage. I don't know.
and you can do this in, another thing I'd say, you can do this in baby steps. I mean, you know, get some Walmart camping gear and just go out and do a weekend or so. You know, you don't need all the fancy bigfooting stuff, you know, the thermal cameras and all that stuff. That, I mean, I have all that, but it took me, you know, 10 years to collect it. To be honest with you. Yeah. All that fancy stuff on that truck, that took 10 years.
Actually,
you know.
that is like, we got our first truck in 2010, 2010, we got that first pickup, and you started kitting it out then. So this is a 15-year project.
Yeah.
And it's cobbled together. It's eBay and Harbor Freight and so don't expect anything overnight.
Right. And then, because really, if you want to go out and capture Bigfoot, what you need is this. You know, I have a almost $3,000 camera, and this takes better pictures than that does, which is disappointing. I mean, I've had the camera for a long time, but
I had my camera out last year, and I was getting some really good video off of it, you know, more so than my Nikon. So it was easier to carry, you know, whip it out and do some video. And I did invest on a better gimbal for this coming season, but I totally understand that I don't like to be all bogged down with a bunch of stuff, you know.
I know. And they also make,
I'm not paying attention.
Yeah, they also make an attachment. You can put a thermal camera on these things and get, you know, thermal video with them.
I would say another piece of advice. It's kind of funny. It was a leap of faith. It was a total leap of faith. And there are times that we've been kind of reckless about that. And don't be afraid to be reckless. Don't be afraid to just take the leap. There's no way you're ever going to be prepared. You will never have enough. It's like, when's the right time to have kids? When you have them. There will never be enough money. There will never be enough cushion around you. You will never have everything you need to be safe and secure. Those things don't exist anyway. So live the life you want to live now. And that's kind of the biggest lesson I've learned. If you are waiting for the perfect environment to make your dreams happen, that will never come. I will never ever come. Oh, Dawn wants to know when the roundtable shows are returning.
I just saw that. Yeah.
And we skipped the last week or last month because of the refrigerator problem, because we were in our camper and the old refrigerator, the coolant was ammonia, and it had leaked out all over the inside of the truck or in the camper, and it was a little hard to breathe the ammonia in the room here.
So are we looking at Wednesday?
Yeah, next Wednesday. Where are we?
Is it the first or the second Wednesday?
Second Wednesday.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, second Wednesday. Yeah, we're back. We'll be back next week.
Yep. So, but yeah, that's my biggest thing. That's my biggest thing is just take the leap of faith, and The biggest lesson I've learned from Bigfoot is it's okay to walk away. It's okay, you know, it's okay. I'm half-assedly, excuse me, writing a book called Sasquatch Medicine, everything that I've learned from Bigfoot on our travels. And the first lesson is it's okay to walk away. You don't have to stay married to everything that's part of your life now. Just walk away. Walk away. It's okay. I'm the philosopher of the relationship.
And she also has a psychology degree. And when your wife's when you're arguing with your wife and she looks at you and says, "How does that make you feel?" It's over.
I don't even have to ask. I don't even have to ask that. I can just look at him and say, "Okay, so this is what's happening in your brain right now. You need to knock that stuff off. Okay, just stop it." All right. Camping, big moon or no moon?
I have no idea what that means.
That means, do you want a full moon when you're camping, or do you want no moon? We've done it all.
Both. Yeah, it don't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters. I think just being out there.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't sleep well during a full moon, so I'd much rather have a dark moon, but you know, that's just me.
Actually, I sleep better with the dark too, with the complete darkness. But that is kind of a strange question actually to me.
Yeah.
But
well, Danny, this is Danny we're talking about. We love you, man.
We love you, Danny.
Doc Ock is on.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yep.
That's what I call octopus with no friends, Doc Ock, because it's easier to say.
So let's move on to
Okay.
Your most compelling evidence. Okay.
My most compelling evidence.
What do you feel is your most compelling evidence? Now, recently you put out the Bigfoot whoop. Fine.
Yeah. So here's an interesting that whoop find. It was actually 5 years old. I recorded that 5 years ago, and I hadn't really put it out there. Well, I had occasionally, you know, but I had went around to a lot of the conferences and played it for people. And I had, you know, half the people would say, "Well, that sounds like a coyote." Half the people would say, you know, "Oh, that's definitely a Bigfoot," kind of stuff. And I wasn't sure about it. And so I wanted to take my time, you know, and do a little research on it. That's one of the things we do, and kind of our little catchphrase for Squatch America is we investigate the unexplained. We don't explain the uninvestigated. So like I said, I did 5 years of research on this, and I'm kind of used to doing that because working as an anthropologist, I've worked on archaeological digs, and you can dig something up and it will sit in the lab for 5 years looking at it, trying to figure out what this thing is and how it works until you finally come up with, oh yeah, that's got to be it, you know, and doing a little experiment. So
well, you did that with your picture. You looked at it for 5 years before you ever saw the second.
Yeah. So that was the kind of the thing we did. And I just happened to, at a conference, run into David Ellis, and he does a lot of Bigfoot audio stuff for the Olympic project, and he knows his stuff. And so I actually, we were at a conference, and I kind of pulled him to the back hallway outside the conference and said, "Is this a coyote?" That's what I asked him. I said, and I played it for him, and he listened to it and he said, "Nope, that's not a coyote." And so I sent it to him, and he ran it through all his, you know, charts and computers and stuff. And he said, it's a classic Bigfoot whoop. And he said, if I hadn't heard it for myself and just looked at the squiggly lines on the computer, he said, that's a classic Bigfoot whoop. So, did I think it was myself years ago? Yeah, I did, because of what had happened that day, you know. And how I got that recording was a couple was picking huckleberries, and they had they had a stump thrown out of the forest at them into the huckleberry patch they were in.
Oh, wow.
So they drove down off the hill, and as soon as they got cell signal, it happened to be the daughter of the guy that was my squatching partner, who was the deputy sheriff dude. You know, she called him and said, "Hey, this just happened to me. I think it was kind of squatchy, you know." So he calls me, and within 2 hours we were back there. We were in the spot. So and then we had heard like what I thought was chest thumping. Did not get it recorded that before that. But so we left the recorder all night, and that's when we got the whoop in the middle of the night. But so, like I said, that was 5 years of just sitting on that, trying to get the right people to look at it, you know, kind of deal. And until I felt confident saying, yeah, that's a Bigfoot whoop. And then, of course, my sighting is another one.
Where you saw it with your eyeballs.
I saw it with my eyeballs.
It wasn't just an accidental catch and, oh, look what my camera caught. It was like, there it is,
It's
snap.
Yeah. So it wasn't just taking pictures in the woods and trying to pick faces out of it later kind of deal. I actually saw it with my own eyes moving, looking at me, and I got my camera up, got
a lucky picture,
lucky blurry picture of a Bigfoot. And then, but the thing with that also is I spent 3 days there after that. We were shooting lasers through trees trying to figure out how tall this thing was. 6 foot, by the way, you know, and we found 9-inch footprints with 16-inch footprints next to them. I got the casts of the footprints. I showed those to,
we found the trackway.
Showed those to Dr. Meldrum. He said, yeah, they're typical Bigfoot morphology, you know, to the footprints and stuff. So
is that the picture that I have here? Or is this a different one?
That's it. That's the one you have there. It's a juvenile and an adult.
I
had 3 seconds to take that picture. The juvenile, we smelt it first. There's no way to record the smell, but I smelt it first, and then
smell-o-vision.
Then I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I kind of did a little growl, which you probably shouldn't have done, into the woods to see if it would growl back, and it did. The juvenile mimicked me, my growl, and then when I saw it, it was kind of doing this. I never saw. There's an adult behind it. The adult stood still the whole time, and I never saw the adult with my own eyes. I was too fixated on that juvenile in front of it moving, and I got my camera up, got one picture, and then we heard this whistle off in the woods, and it kind of ducked back into the woods. Maybe even I'm thinking it now that I think about it. I think the adult probably saw me and then pulled the juvenile back into the woods, because it did kind of back up funny. I'm not sure if that was a fact or not, but
I have no compelling evidence.
Yeah,
I've got some.
She had a stick thrown at her.
Woohoo!
That counts.
I was pissed off about that too. What? Everyone else gets stumps and rocks, and I get a freaking little twig. Anyway, so no, but I've had some pretty. We can talk about it another time. I've had some things that I can't explain, and I have had some interactions that didn't seem normal for that. So I always like Dawn's questions.
Any opinion of humans going into a sort of fear and defense mode after whoops? I heard whistling.
Yes, that's called your sympathetic nervous system activation. You're talking to the clinic.
Living with a psychologist. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because if what any of us really, even we've experienced this, in like when you were being shadowed by a bear, you experienced this, large predators have that infrasound, which is designed to kick on your fight or flight. So it's a natural physiological response. So,
Yeah. And I've had several reports from people who have, one in particular is actually in the area we're at right now, of a place called Wolf Creek. And what had happened was a couple were up in the woods cutting firewood, and they had this group of deer that kept hanging around them. They had chainsaws going and stuff, and the deer wouldn't run away. It stayed with the people. And so they got, they drug a log off the side of the hill out onto the road, and they were in snow. And when the log came across the road, it swiped the snow back, and they had this big patch of blood that was frozen on the ground behind their truck that they didn't see. It was covered with snow
Mhm.
until the log swiped it away. And they wondered if that's why the deer were hanging around. They thought, to them, they thought, well, maybe wolves. We have a lot of wolves in this Eastern Oregon area, by the way.
Mhm.
So when they were driving, and then they got in their truck, they were driving out of the mountains, and they came around a corner. They saw Bigfoot standing in the road in front of them. It turned and walked off the road up a hill and stopped at a tree, walked around the tree, and then kind of leaned out around the tree looking at them. They said, "Oh my gosh, it's Bigfoot. I'm going to get a picture." And they jumped out and started to get their phone's camera, on and run up the hill a little bit to get a picture of this thing. And the next thing they knew, they were about a half a mile down the road running, and they don't remember starting running. They don't remember why they were running. And so we know that there's elephants and tigers and stuff can do this infrasound, which they can growl really deep that we can't hear it, but our bodies can feel it. And it triggers, like Hannah said, a fight or flight. So, and there's been several stories like that where so when you're hearing Bigfoot sounds, there's a chance, you will be.
And
scared.
and people, I wanted to also respond to Don. People, people often ask me. They ask me specifically. I don't know if they ask you, but they ask me, "Aren't you afraid out there?" And I'm not. In fact, I am generally not afraid of a whole lot. It drives him nuts because I need to be afraid of way more that's going on in the world than I really am, right? It's true. I don't know. But so Donald was talking about he heard whoops from 3 different directions, and I'm generally not afraid, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't get triggered out there. We were and this is one of those things that I'm not saying it was Bigfoot, but boy, it was weird. So we were out camping, and Danny, it was a full moon. We were not there roasting marshmallows. We were squatching. We didn't see anything. What we did see as we were camping under this full moon in the middle of nowhere, no people anywhere. We did not see people for 5 glorious days. It was fantastic. Introvert heaven, right? And so it was a full moon. What we did have was a meadow full of elk, juvenile elk, doing the boy elk thing in the moonlight. And we had the coyotes yipping in the moonlight. And we had the wolves yipping in the moonlight. And the crickets were cricketing. And everything was making a ruckus at midnight and the full moon. And I just wanted to go to sleep. And out of nowhere comes this scream. It was bigger than the space. And from another direction, another scream. And from another direction, another scream. And everything went dead silent until dawn. And I went. And we didn't move the rest of the night. I think I went to sleep, but nothing else moved the rest of the night. Everything just shut up. And so, it triggered, there was Understood.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I've been pretty brave when I'm with people. I can be with one person and I'm brave, okay? But by yourself, it's a different feeling. It's a whole different thing. And I never thought I'd be afraid of Bigfoot. I'm more afraid of running into a bear. And I can get scared of things like running across my feet. Like there was these little green tree frogs out there on Mount St. Helens. We weren't seeing a whole lot of animals, but these little frogs were making noise, jumping on the trail. And we were like, what was it? Is it mice? Am I hearing mice? Or what am I hearing, scurrying or moving? Until finally one night we found the little, boogers out there that were making all that racket, these little, frogs. Because sound is amazing how things sound in the darkness, in, silence, how things sound louder.
Here's another freaky thing. The first time you go out into the woods at night with like an infrared night vision, you will be amazed how many bats fly by your head at night and you never know it.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
They're
I like
everywhere.
bats too, though. I'd have a pet. I would totally. In fact, I sometimes I watch like bat rescue channels, and they're
Yeah.
playing with the bats and the
We
crippled
used
bats.
to
They're
play
flying them through the air.
frisbee with those
Yeah.
glow in the dark frisbees.
Mhm.
And we used to go out there at night and throw them and watch the bats dive at them.
Yeah.
And so we used to do that, in high school. We used to do that, go see how many bats we could hit with the frisbees.
Yeah. A Hives, I wanted to know if I've ever heard a cougar scream. Yes, actually, we lived in California. It was called Wildcat Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally, the hill we lived on was called Wildcat Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
For a reason.
Yeah, in fact, we were up against them. We've heard them scream. How would you compare what we heard that night to a cougar scream?
Well, I meant what we heard that night. We were in kind of a little valley, and like she said, the sound was too big for the valley. It was tremendously loud.
It was like it's like the only way I could describe it, if we live in 3D, this was like a 4D sound. This was so much bigger.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I was a vocal teacher, I'm a vocal major. I know different sounds, and this was just bigger than anything I have ever heard. And that it came from 3 different directions, and with everything going just dead silent after that.
Mhm.
Even the crickets stopped.
Yeah.
It was weirdest thing I've ever been through. It's like, oh.
I think that's a weird phenomenon that happens when you're out in the woods, when you hear crickets, you hear things, and then all of a sudden you hear nothing. What is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Why does that happen? And so it's such a weird to experience that firsthand. That's really weird, to have noise and then no noise. And what's out there watching you?
Yeah.
So experiences and encounters. I was going to say there's one other thing that's happened to us that was, I'm not going to say it was Bigfoot, but it was just weird. Most a tremendously weird thing that's ever happened, and this was in the Bitterroot Mountains of Montana. We were hiking a trail, and it was kind of interesting. This trail we were on, we had pulled into the trailhead, and we were the only car there, so nobody else had hiked that trail, because it was kind of a hard trail to hike. It was almost straight up. So we hiked up to this top of this mountain. It took us.
It was way too long.
Yeah, like
this was still in my "Can we be done yet?" days.
Yeah, it was probably 5 or 6 hours to get to the top of the hill, and then we had to turn around and come back. So we had hiked up the hill, and nothing exciting happened.
Something was kind of pacing us.
Yeah, we could hear something kind of like just over the hill from us
on a ridge above us.
Yeah, but I've had bears do that, so I'm kind of thinking, and there was bear bush everywhere, so I'm thinking that was probably what it was. But on the way back, the weirdest thing, we found there was a hindquarters of a deer leg that had been ripped off. There wasn't a cut mark on it. I looked. It was ripped off.
Yeah,
like something had just tore it off.
There's like muscle and ligament and just
ripped off. And it was laying in the middle of the trail for us like a gift, and it wasn't there on the way up.
Or I will do this to you.
Yeah,
barbecue time.
It's funny. So we had a different dog with us. If those of you who follow us, you also follow Daisy. In fact, we know you only follow us so you can see the adventures of Daisy. Now this is a different dog who hated being out there, but she was a Rottweiler.
Yeah.
And she sniffed that leg and backed off.
Yeah.
You'd think, you got a Rottweiler here and this beautiful raw piece of meat, and she wasn't going near that.
Wasn't going near it. Yeah.
Wow.
So weird.
So we took a bunch of pictures. I didn't take it. I wasn't going to pack it out of the woods, but
you didn't want to make any deer jerky.
No.
And so it was like weird.
We've
had weird stuff. We've had other weird stuff happen. I mean, but but that was like Stephen King weird.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that'll definitely make you think. Good night. Good night, Steve. Handing out before you get banned. I wouldn't ban you. You'd really have to upset me to do that. Which can happen. I have done it.
Yeah.
I've done that before. So, let's see. Richie Evans is saying June 8th, who's going to Bigfoot conference in Ocala, Florida? So that's gonna come up. That's right around the corner. That's
Yep.
this weekend.
That's this weekend. We are actually going to be in Elgin, Oregon on a train where they guarantee you to see Bigfoot on this Bigfoot excursion train.
At least 3 times.
At least 3 times.
Ooh. Let's move on to your goals.
Oh, look at that awesome picture, honey. Look at you in your goatee.
I know. That was when this was just starting. She just went back in the Wayback Machine on our YouTube channel and stole photos.
I went deep diving through stuff.
So what's our goals and aspirations?
Yeah. Where do you see your research going?
Well, we just actually we just did a video about our channel and our group. And what was really where I see it now isn't where we thought it was going to be. You know, we originally thought that it would just be us out going through the woods and
doing our own research,
doing stuff and that. But actually, what has happened over the years is Squatch America has turned into almost a movement. That's only
community.
A community. That's a better word for it.
A cult.
A cult. Yes,
we started a cult.
And I promise we won't serve Kool-Aid, if you know what that means. But
so far, we haven't made the wealth and riches that most cult leaders do, but we're not opposed to that.
Yeah. No, but what's happened is over the years we've picked up people, you know, doing our town hall meetings and taking reports from people and then doing conferences, and then all of a sudden we've made friends with a lot of people from all over the United States, and that has turned into us being able to, when we get reports on our website, you know, us being able to, you know, I know a couple people in Vermont, so if I get a report from Vermont, I can call them and say, hey, go, you know. And it happens quite often, and just recently it happened in Tennessee and we didn't have anybody, so I actually messaged Nikki and she got us hooked up. But we've got people all over the United States now. That's just kind of,
that was the most amazing thing that happened that night, though, that you put out a word. You were looking for somebody in was it Tennessee?
I think it's Tennessee, yeah,
or Virginia, or
no, it was Tennessee.
It was Tennessee, and I'm like, I don't know, but I know somebody who knows. So I hooked up, you know, with somebody else, and they got but this person, and before you knew it, I didn't realize that it was paranormal.
Oh,
what's his name?
Yeah, I forgot too. But,
oh my goodness, I blanked out his name from Paranormal Odyssey. He lived not too far, an hour or so, from the actual location, and he decided to, you know, do that. But it took all these little links that we knew, you know.
But what's crazy is, what's crazy about that, through all those little links, from the time people had that sighting there, within 2 hours they had somebody on site investigating it.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's the big difference. I mean, you get your big names, you know, we all know our Cliffs and our Lyles and our BFROs and all that, and more power to them, you know. But you know, when we talk about like for instance, Cliff Barrickman always talks about, you know, it's going to be the citizen scientist, which is what we all are. We're just plain old Joes, you know, and if we can all work together, and connect and put aside. Okay, I'm a little dirty little secret about Hannah. Are you pinching me?
I'm pinching her. No.
A little secret about Hannah. Having taught and having done clinical social work, my theory on humanity is most of us never got past 7th grade in our heads, because the drama and the I don't like this person and it just drives me nuts. It's like, let's all pull up our big girl and big boy pants and just work together. You know, we can be grown-ups about this. And if we would do that, like, here, we need someone over there. Let's go over there. And because you know what? It is going to take all of us doing the work together in a mature and I'm not going to take anything personally fashion to move this forward. And we're also busy biting and picking at each other.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We don't need that, people.
Yeah.
So, love y'all.
Yes.
It was Sea Wayne, you guys. It was paranormal.
Yeah.
Who was in the area.
Yeah, that's right. So what's great about that is that's what this has kind of turned into, this kind of this loose knit family of researchers who are out there
from all different perspectives, even the perspective that y'all out there don't appreciate. You don't know me very well.
And it's important. It was good to see that happen, that we made that happen. We got somebody to an area that fast through connections.
Exactly.
And turned out to be a big kind of nothing burger. But
it did.
Well, there you go.
Which is 90% of Bigfooting, by the way, folks.
Nothing burgers.
Is nothing burgers. Yeah.
Yeah. But
boy, the reporting party, it was the biggest nothing burger of her life, and she will never forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the things. And another thing that's kind of happened is now that when we travel places and we go out to do our research stuff, like if we're in a certain area, we've got friends there that are like, oh, I'll meet you out there. So now it's not just us, it's other people, coming out and helping us out and watching areas for us. Now it's really kind of cool. By the way, Nikki, we're going to Cloudcroft in October.
I'll be there.
Okay. There you go. All right. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. We'll plan on that for sure. And it's exciting.
Yeah. Maybe we'll actually go to El Paso.
No.
There's nothing here.
There's nothing there.
Except for good food, if you want to have some good food.
Well, you know what? I love good Mexican food. And I will say, having traveled the country, that is harder to come by than you might realize.
Yeah.
So what through all this, and we'll bring this part to an end, is that milestones. Do you think you have that one thing in mind that you really want to reach?
Yeah, we kind of have a goal that we're working on, is
fame, fortune.
Yeah, I want to be famous.
You wants to be a household name.
No.
Yeah, this is Bigfoot, for crying out loud. No. Household name in 14 households, and there you go.
No, kind of what we're really shooting for, and one of the things that we're doing now is we have our own area that we've been working for about 4 years now, that we've had a lot of stuff, and believe it or not, we don't talk about this on our YouTube channel like we should, or we shouldn't. But anyway,
well, there's some things we keep close to our chest.
There's some things that we do keep close to our chest, and some of the things I do talk about when you go to conferences, because I got to have something different that I talk about in the conferences than I do on my YouTube channel.
Anyway, hey, time's ticking.
Yeah. So anyway, one of the things we're doing right now is, I know Bigfoot exists, and I know in the academic world we'll never prove it. I've came to that conclusion, that Bigfoot being a real thing, the government has to admit UFOs first, I think, and then they'll get to Bigfoot later. Maybe, I don't know. But what we're working on now is, being a cultural anthropologist, is we have actually been doing a study for years now, trying to figure out the culture of these things. We have made with our latest finds, may have even figured out their gestation period and how many kids they have and how often it happens.
We're working on that.
We're working on that.
Wow.
Don't anyone spread that around.
Yeah. You heard it here first. Okay. But
And what happens on Sasquatch Secrets stays on Sasquatch.
Here
So,
I have for that, and I was going to redo this too, and now where is he? There
Hello,
he is.
folks. You heard it here first on Sasquatch Secrets.
So
I got to get a better voice for him now that I've got that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's I mean, that's what we want, right? We want anything that can further that ball down the field.
Mhm.
Anything is going to help. Whether, you know, we have real high demands for credible evidence, but we still have to do that. We still have to gather the data.
Yeah.
And it's just so important that whether it's that we get it, everything.
Right. But
So,
but to me, we have tons of credible evidence. I mean, in the last 5 years, we have found 5, 6 sets of footprints. I mean, real footprints. We've found fake footprints, and we've also found
Real,
genuine human footprints. You know,
and when you hold them up to people and compare and contrast, they go, "Huh, I still don't believe it."
Yeah.
And in fact, our next show this coming Wednesday is going to be about the nature of belief and paradigm, and basically the stories that people write in their heads and what it means to be more open-minded and why people are so hesitant to do that.
Yeah. So what we're working on is just trying to figure out how these things live, how long they've been here. I've got my own theories on that too. What they are, all that stuff, all the questions, we're just still trying to answer them, but in an anthropological way, you know, a historic, scientific way of doing it.
Oh, there's another Bigfoot book we need to get.
Yeah, and we're doing it through, believe it or not, psychological studies. We're actually giving Bigfoot tests and seeing if they pass them, kind of deal. A little different than most people are doing.
So come out to our next conference and you'll see that.
So by the way, we don't knock on trees and we don't whoop in the woods at night.
Much.
I think Thomas Steenberg would agree with that. He doesn't like it when you knock and make all kinds of noise. He doesn't like that very much.
And no, one of the things we do is we just go camping sometimes and let them check us out.
Right. That is seeming to be the more popular thing, is that they're going to come to us. We're not going to find them out there.
Well, if we're out there, and if we're out there knocking and whooping and doing all that, we're encroaching on their territory and we are a threat. If we're out there just doing our thing, we're not a threat.
Yeah.
When something is threatening you, you back off.
Yeah. And what if a Bigfoot means I'm going to come kill you or whatever, you know?
Well, according to the Kwakwaki Walk, a tree knock means go away.
Means go away, according to that tribe.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely something interesting.
D. Mitchell wanted to know if we have opinions on Green and Carter's book, 50 Years with Bigfoot, where they talk about gestation. Haven't read it. In fact, we just offloaded a whole bunch of books, including a bunch of Bigfoot books.
I just dumped all my Bigfoot books. So
they're too heavy.
So living in the camper, when you get something new, something old has to go away.
And it's been a long time since we've done that.
We have a weight limit.
So I haven't read it, but if it's available, let me know if it's available on Kindle.
Yeah, we'll find it.
Yeah, audiobooks and okay, let me look over here. So okay, I have up your upcoming events.
Mhm.
And we were talking, I don't, is that one of your updated ones? Or
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it. We're good.
That's the one.
you
So the
updated
most
one?
important thing on that calendar is June 22nd and 23rd, the Blue Mountain Bigfoot Festival in Baker City, Oregon. Get your plane tickets now. We want to see you all here. No, June 21st is the VIP dinner.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere here that there's a festival where the VIP pass was $150.
Wow.
That's ridiculous. Our VIP pass is $50, and it comes with a raffle ticket or two for our special raffle prizes, as well as the dinner and some meet and greet time with our festival guests. You can go to our website, squatchamerica.com, and find out all about the festival. But
Yeah, that's
And
one
that
that
was my next thing. Where we could find you. I have all your links. Well, I have your
Okay.
links to your YouTube down in the description. You guys can find it there. But I did not have your website. I forgot to put
it's
the
squatchamerica.com.
super simple.
that easy. Yeah,
That easy. Yeah.
that easy, folks. Squatchamerica.com.
Yeah.
D. Mitchell,
go-
I would absolutely love to have a digital copy of that book. So on our website, there's a contact us form. You can use that to contact us.
Or you can
Well-
email us at squatchamerica@gmail.com too.
Yeah. Well, that's just one more link to remember.
Yeah.
So we'd love to see that book.
America. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
But
just remember that.
that was a great conversation. Thank you very much.
you.
Let's move on to the next segment, shall we?
Show me what you got.
Jim, you heard them. Said, show me what you got.
That was
All
fun.
right. So we are going to do Show Me What You Got. I have a couple of things that are going around. There was a conversation on Facebook there about what do you think, is everybody just seeing, it's a skeptic coming from a skeptic,
Mhm.
that everybody is seeing bears. They're just seeing bears. And we do know that there have been a lot of articles within the last year coming out and saying, oh, it's just bears. That's all you're seeing. It's the most logical thing to think and to study, is that you're just misidentifying what's out there in the woods. Now, I don't believe that, but it is a thing that keeps coming around. It's going to be something that's going to be talked about for a really long time. And yeah, there are some bears that have some kind of medical issue with their backs. There's that one famous one that, I think it's the one on the left corner that was always seen walking through this neighborhood because it had some kind of issues with its arm and its back or something. So that's how it got around, is it learned to walk. But I just don't see the similarities. To my eyes, I don't see the similarities in the descriptions of Bigfoot and what people are describing and showing with the barrel chests and the wide shoulders. Bears do not have that. They slope down, they're hunched, they carry their arms, out in front of them.
Yeah, that's
not
the thing. They walk like a T-Rex. Yeah.
kind of like walking and they
Yeah,
have comparatively, when they stand up, you see little feet. They're paws, so they're rounded and they're small. They're not something that would I think you could somebody could in the dark. In the dark, maybe you see the upright figure, possibly, that could come into play. But what do you guys think about that? Think I'm far off with that, or
No, I am desperately looking for a picture. I don't know if can I share pictures?
yeah.
Oh, no,
pictures.
you got him looking on his
Yeah.
computer for stuff now.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Well, one of the things I want to say, and
You can share it. I think you can share your screen, and then I can share it on mine.
The scary thing is him finding it. That's
yeah,
the
I got to
scary
find it on my
part.
computer first. That's the
I'm
bad
horrible
part.
at labeling properly. I have all kinds of, half my stuff says screenshot blah something, a number.
Yeah. So let me see if I
So
can
while
get this
he's
shit.
looking for that, now all I have in my head is a little song called Waltzing with Bears and the Teddy Bear Picnic. And now I want to go have a picnic with a bunch of teddy bears and go waltzing with bears. And those are the cutest pictures I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There's nothing cute about a Bigfoot. Although I could be tempted by a baby Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
did that story last week on a lady who saw a Bigfoot with a baby.
Of course
Yeah.
she did. And I'm so jealous because
Yeah.
it's a baby.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
do not want a baby.
She called 911. It's a 911 call.
Oh,
That's
wow.
exciting.
Yeah.
That
And
is even cooler.
I would love to hear that call.
Yeah.
Go back
So
to
he's
next week's, last
he's
week's.
He's looking through 100 and okay, he's looking through 150 slides
That was
here.
the picture.
Yeah. So my presentation at Bigfoot conferences is 160 slides. So bring your
We should be
bring your
charging
copy.
$150 for that. Insanity. Sheer insanity. I know
So, okay.
exactly what you're looking for.
I think I got it. All right.
Here we go. Here
I'm
comes
gonna
the
see if-
anthropology dude.
Okay. Share screen, window, that window. Share. Did it work?
Okay,
Did it work?
it
Yep,
worked.
it's coming. There it is.
Okay.
There you go.
So
Get your little pointer out.
this is a 200-year-old photograph of Bigfoot. This is telling a story, but what I want to point out is you see this right here?
Mm-hmm.
That's a bear, and that's a bear. That's a bear paw that the Native Americans
On a petroglyph.
on a petroglyph. There's the bears. Then what's that? And that.
It's not a bear.
It's not a bear.
Right.
So the depiction.
Chris?
Yeah, I was going to say what's that?
Where were these?
These are in Oregon, actually, in Central Oregon, near a place called Prairie City. So this would have been either the Shoshone or the Umatilla Indians. We're not quite sure because they're old.
Mm-hmm.
But
And the two areas overlap.
yeah, but the deal is, in the depictions of Bigfoot from the Native Americans, they don't have a neck. If those bear pictures that you had up, you can see the bear has a tall neck. These, we never hear descriptions of Bigfoot. They say their head's connected to their shoulders almost. You know, you can't. So I just showed you a 200-year-old photo that the Native Americans knew the difference between a bear and a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
those are some big feet on there.
yep.
But that footprint, that's amazing.
Yep.
I mean, showing even the toes straight across.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
And you can see the Bigfoot paw is up here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see they do.
No, that's not the big. That's
Yeah,
bear
no, I
paw.
meant the bear paw. I mean, and you see the bear, the pad of the paw. You see the toes of the bear and the claws.
The claws, yeah, definitely.
So
Definitely.
they knew
sharp.
the difference between the Bigfoot footprints and the bears.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, I'm gonna back here. So anyway, it's out there, you know, but I don't think it has a whole lot of weight to people who study and research and investigate. I think we've already come to conclusions that it can't, you know, we know the difference
Yeah.
already.
Or
But
some of the reports we get
you-
bears. Yeah. I bet
It's
they
big.
are. I bet some of the reports we get are bears. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. But not all of them.
not all of them.
Mhm.
Cool.
And none of them are having a picnic or waltzing.
The picnic waltz. So this photo was recently put also on Facebook, and it's a picture there on the left is supposedly a Bigfoot back there. Okay.
Mhm.
And then the guy went and took a picture with himself there to get gauge how the height
Right.
and stuff. Okay. But to me, it was the next day. He said he went back. The story is that he went back the next day and did the follow-up photo. But to me, I don't understand the differences in the colors. And
Even the tree branches look different.
they look, yeah, like a different season, right? Not
Mhm.
like the next day. And there was just little things that I'm like, when you're looking at photos, just keep it in mind, the red flags, because I don't see anything in the first photo to begin with. I don't see anything behind those trees. I don't see anything in front of the trees. It looks in that way, that darkness looks the same as the darkness where the man is standing, you know. I don't see a whole lot of definition of a body or legs or even a head, frankly. I don't see any of that. But
Well, if you look at the second picture just right above his shoulder, you almost see the predator.
oh, yes, you are so right. I saw that too. Um, and I'm like, so the second picture, there's no Bigfoot, and I see more stuff in that picture. My mind, my eyes are creating all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would look like a scary skeleton, something coming out there.
It's
But
just
our
thinking,
minds do that.
dude, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not there to save you.
Yeah.
And it's just, ask questions, and I'm nice. I generally don't do a whole lot with these anymore with the people unless I just know that they're not real. But some people see things, and that's okay. They can see whatever they want. That's not a hoax. That's not if people really believe in what they're showing, that's just their journey. That's what they're doing. So,
And
but
our brains are wired for pattern recognition, and
exactly.
that's what I mean, that's how we have survived, is to recognize patterns. Now, we don't always recognize reality, but we'll recognize a pattern. And if there's not a pattern there, we sometimes often make one up.
We will
It's
make
just
one.
it's how we're wired.
It
No
is. Go to
judgment.
the bathroom and look at your tile. How many creatures you have popping out? How many faces you have coming out the tile in your floor? So it happens. And this is another recent one that just came out. I believe it was yesterday. What does it say on there? 8 hours ago or something. And that was from, did I put it on there yesterday? I put it on there yesterday. So no background. Okay. Nothing, but on the top it says latest pick. Okay. And I was going to try to run this down to the guy's Facebook page or whatever. I didn't. Okay. Because it just doesn't look right. Okay. My red flag is that doesn't look like hair from an animal. It looks like a stuffed animal hair.
I was going to
one-
say, remember when we were kids and we had dolls and we would wash their hair and then try to comb it out and it became that matted mess? That's what that looks like.
Yeah.
It does. It does. Because I can't
that
think of
yucky nylon costume hair.
Nylon is exactly the right word.
Yeah,
It's
it reflects too much light for hair. It's too shiny.
What animal? I kept thinking, what type of animal that we know, a known animal, has anything like that?
No.
And not even an elk hair looks like that. It doesn't have that kind of texture. And I thought I would show it on here in case anybody had any more information about this. This was on Bigfoot Believers, so you guys can go check it out, and maybe somebody will do a little harder search than I did because I just had found it last night. But it doesn't. There's not a whole lot there, not a whole lot to say whether it is or isn't. It's just a photo. Just a photo. A lot of people were laughing. There was a lot of laughing emojis with it, but most people didn't believe what it
Yeah.
was. It is.
My favorite line is, "That's very interesting."
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. Say
But
that
not
too.
Something to
conclusive.
think about.
Yeah, it's interesting but not conclusive.
Right. I mean, elk have that long hair, like
Mhm.
off the neck and stuff.
But it's
But
usually way dark. It's
yeah, it's a
almost
lot.
black. Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you guys see? What do you see there? Sasquatch have microplastics in their testicles. What?
Okay, yeah, no. Could be all that pollution out there.
Mm.
Maybe. She's asking, do Sasquatch, but I don't think so. No.
Probably
That's
not.
yeah.
That's
I
something
mean,
that
humans do, because like back in the day when I was young, we had those plastic squirt guns. We used to squirt water in our mouth. So yeah, we have a lot of microplastics from that. Yeah,
We drank out of the hose.
yeah.
we all survived.
Yeah, we're here. We're stronger than ever. Stronger than ever. Couple things in the news. So what I got coming up is I found the Arizona State Museum. I had run into this article, and it made me start thinking that I bet you there is a lot more museums out there that do this type of curating of different types of legends. They have special uh, curating. What is the word I'm looking for? Oh my God. I
Exhibits
want to
or
say exhibit. Probably exhibit is the best word.
yeah.
So this was one of them that I ran into, and it was tracking the legend of Bigfoot out of the Arizona State Museum. And that right there, that photo you see, is a cast that was created from a cast of the Roger Patterson at Bluff Creek.
Mhm.
So what they did is they got that cast and then they imprinted it. So you're looking at would that be the negative? I don't know.
Yeah.
That was done. That one particularly was done in 1979 by John Olson. And it went through a whole history, of Bigfoot. And I thought it was kind of interesting that they would put it into the Arizona State Museum. It's not a cryptid museum, like many that are popping up around the US, but more popular museum. And it went all the way from the Native American traditions in the Pacific Northwest, all the way talking about Ray Wallace to Bob Gimlin. So the story is linked down below if you guys want to check that story out, the article. It's a general story that we've all heard. It talks about Ivan Marks. It'll talk about the handprints, and it shows some more pictures with that. So you guys can check that out. It was a great little article, and talks about Gigantopithecus. It was a pretty well-rounded article. But I'm hoping that, if these come up more and more, that people will not laugh at them so much, not laugh at Bigfoot so much, but maybe take this kind of from fringe to more realistic, study of Bigfoot, maybe.
Absolutely.
That's all we can hope, because they were thought of as myths, for the major population out there. We're still kind of on the crazies out there looking for Bigfoot. So I thought that was interesting. And this last one I had here was an old one, but because the footprint was so unique, I thought they're saying it's a Bigfoot, but is it Bigfoot? And this actually came out of the Statesboro Herald in Georgia. And it has what has 4 toes and leaves a footprint almost 20 inches long. Roger Cruz of Jenkins County really wants to know. Cruz found not one, but 2 strange footprints in his niece's driveway near Paynes Chapel Road, just 2 miles from the Jenkins County line, Tuesday. Well, this was back in 2010, though. It is quite old. The prints appear human-like, but only with 4 toes. I just thought that print looks so crazy, like alien, you know. I was like, what the heck would make that print? And I was going to leave it here for you guys to look at and see, is that just a kid playing and making little, you know, on that sand thing?
Do they have gators there?
I don't know. That's a good question. Georgia State, where is it?
Scott, what the heck are you doing here?
Did you just heard something? I just knocked our mic down. Okay. There we go.
He's flailing over here.
Because I wanted to
Flailer McFlay.
I was looking for
Flaily
something.
McFlailer. This is what I live with right here. He's
So-
always flailing and
So I have something fun.
causing a ruckus.
I have something fun.
I just want peace and quiet, and it's this. Okay. He's got a picture
What's
by Ivan
yours?
Marks.
These are pictures taken by Mr. Ivan Marks himself. I don't know if you can see that. That's him poking a tree with a stick.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
That's much sunset right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is him taking a picture of his. He was a guide, a hunting guide. So that's him. A picture of a bear underneath his sign saying he'll take you bear hunting.
So there's the bear standing up.
So yeah, and he's got a lot of good pictures of like cougars. So yeah, there was a gentleman that Ivan Marks gave these photos to, and then he didn't want them, so he gave them to me at a festival one day. So on the back it says,
wow.
Mr. and Mrs. Ivan Marks. Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And that was worth the flailingness?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
That was
And
pretty
now
cool.
you all know. Y'all
Now
know
we
how
know
it
the
goes in
rest
this
of the
house.
story. There's a new book out by John O'Connor called The Secret History of Bigfoot.
Oh, cool.
That is coming out. I thought it was pretty interesting because it actually, well, what got me was when I read about it, it says journalist and self-diagnosed skeptic John O'Connor is fascinated by Sasquatch. Curious to learn more, he embarks on a quest through the North American wilds in search of Bigfoot in myths and meaning. Alongside an eccentric cast of characters, he explores the zany and secretive world of cryptozoology, tracking Bigfoot through ancient folklore to Harry and the Hendersons, while examining the forces behind our ever-widening belief in supernatural. O'Connor treks through the shrouded forests of the Pacific Northwest, listening to firsthand accounts, and attends Bigfoot conferences and conventions. He left wondering what happens when the lines between myth and reality blur. So I was like, oh, Pacific Northwest. Maybe you guys seen him at a convention.
Possibility.
But you can find that on Amazon, The Secret History of Bigfoot. It looks interesting. I've got 2 books.
I'll have to look. I'll have to look for them but the thing is, a lot of these conferences, there's 2,000 people there, so it's kind of hard to.
And there are a lot of conferences in the Pacific Northwest, but that does sound like a really, really good book. I can get it for only $7 on Kindle.
There you go.
There you go.
And that actually sounds like something I would
review for you, Hannah.
want. Yeah, that actually sounds like something I would read. He's touching all my happy places there.
Happy places for sure.
Like
for sure.
mythology and paranormal and yeah.
Yeah. So one last reminder, folks, Sasquatch Shindig 2024 is going to be coming up July 3rd through the 7th, Harrison Hot Springs, Canada. I'm your point of contact for that. And we are knocking on wood that all of us get our passports on time so that we can cross the border.
Hey, maybe
And,
next year we could do that.
Yeah,
Well, we should have passports by then.
that'd be fun.
I finally convinced him we needed
Well,
to get a
next year
passport and
we
go
come
into
back-
Canada. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
we're
That's
going
even
back and
better.
forth. Yeah.
That's even more better.
Well, I was hoping to do one at Cloudcroft. So for next year.
Oh,
So that might
We're
be
working on it.
we're working.
something to do.
We'll talk. We got okay.
We'll talk. We could make this pretty big if we wanted
could.
to. And that's all I've got for now. What else is new? You guys are just so busy that I'm gonna take
Sick.
this off.
It's sick.
Why can't it go? There it goes.
Okay.
It's been heck of a year. I can't believe we're already in June. I mean,
I know.
just flying by, and
Yeah.
so much to do.
Yeah, we're halfway through our festivals already. I mean, we were booked at 14. We've done 7 or 8. I don't know. I don't remember. So we're in the middle somewhere.
Like,
So we'll be all over the place. But one of the things we're going to do next year, actually,
In theory,
kind of in theory this year. So about September is when our last conference is for the summer, and we're planning on spending the winter down south because that's what we do, and because
hopefully the winter won't follow us down south like it did this
like
year.
it did last year. Yeah. So
I've been cold since September.
yeah. But one of the things we wanted to start doing now, instead of conferences, we're going to try to cut way back on those if we can, is to actually set up like weekend outings,
Campouts,
meetups and stuff like that, and get into that because we want to spend more time in the woods, because that's the only way you're going to see Sasquatch is he's in the woods, so you got to be there to see him. So we want like when we first started this, before all the conference things started happening, we were spending 150 to 200 days a year in the woods. We've got a lot of evidence we've collected over the years, and that's because we spend 150 to 200 days a year in the woods and following up on reports that we get, kind of thing. So so we want to get back to doing that. So we're going to start traveling around the country and setting up, hey, if we can find campsites that we can rent out or whatever for a weekend or a week, if we can, and just say, hey, we're going to be here. If you want to join us, come on down.
Come on. Hey there, Sasquatch. Come on down.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to organize something where everybody's on their own. This is, where we'll be at, but you have to arrange your own spots and sites and get reservations if it's needed, or make sure that if you're dry camping, that you're situated, you got your stuff.
Yep.
Trying to organize all that for people, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Conference organization is awful.
Yeah, it's awful. We're in the middle of one, and our conferences that we're putting on is in a couple weeks. So
so if I'm grumpy now, you know why.
Yeah. So we're doing, so what we want to do is a lot of these campouts and stuff, and then that way you can get out in the woods, we get to know you get to know us,
we have a fire and marshmallows and do all the things.
What? Oh shoot. Oh, that was my fault. Come back. Come back. That was my fault. Oh, that's bad. Kicked my own people out. I was trying to X out from the share screen he had. Go back. So anyway, let's look at while they are sure to come back on. There they come. They're already back.
That was weird.
Sorry. That was me.
Oh,
That was you?
whoopsie doodle. Whoopsie doodle.
I was just get the X to get the share screen off, but it
Uh-huh.
took you with it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, what we're saying is Squatch America wants to meet with all the Squatch Americans.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody would love to do that.
So in fact,
I
last
think,
week
man.
we were up on Mount Hood and we found the cabin where the two of us met 27 years ago, and we want to do a meetup there. We want to have a camp out there in a little cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
Oh,
On Mount Hood, even.
On Mount Hood, yes. So we're trying to pin down who owns that cabin and can we rent it. So
it is time to wrap this puppy up so that we're not running into everybody else. Thank you guys so much for coming and joining me today. It's been a fun time getting to know you and everything that you guys do for us. I think everybody around here agrees that you guys are special to the community, and we appreciate everything that you guys do for sure.
Special.
You're special.
Yeah.
Now everything.
You have no idea.
Is that the southern kind of? Isn't that special, or is it?
Yeah, no.
Someone's gonna say, "God bless their little hearts." We got enough southern in us. We totally get it.
Yeah.
So, okay. Thank you guys for being here. Everybody, love you. Don't forget to hit that like button, share it out, and don't forget to leave me a comment and subscribe. Yay, already 1,000. Finally hit my 1,000.
Yay.
So, love you guys. Talk to you in the next chat, guys.